Thank you for joining us this beautiful Wednesday evening. My name is Tunde Alabi. It's a pleasure to have you join us on the program today. This is Newspunch coming to you live from our North London studio. On the program today, we'll be taking a look at issues around Nigeria. We are actually going to Nigeria. We'll be discussing the issue of regional agitation. But quickly, let us tell you this very important. Ben TV is still live on Sky platform, on your favorite channel. Ben Television still live, but we'll be moving from one channel 182 to 263. We'll be moving from channel 182 to 263, so you should be able to get us from the 27th of this month. We're not going off air. We're just changing channels so that you can receive us better. We can have a bigger coverage, and you can have a better video, better look, and better audio. That's why we're moving from 182 to 263. So keep following us, and you sure after that time you will actually enjoy Ben Television. I'm joined on this very beautiful Wednesday evening by Lagun Akinloye. Lagun Akinloye is a journalist practicing here in the United Kingdom, and we'll be taking a look. He's a Nigerian and British for that matter. He's a Nigerian, British, but very vast on in Africa matters, African politics, and being a Nigerian is also very vast on Nigerian political issues. I'm joined by Lagun. Lagun, thank you for joining us. Thank you for taking your time to join us. This, thanks a lot. It's our pleasure to have you here. A couple of weeks ago, just a few weeks ago, some northern youth under the umbrella of Arewa Youth Consultative Forum gave ultimatum up to on the 1st of October to the southeast people, Nigerians from the southeastern part of Nigeria residing in the north, to vacate, and they will start taking stock of everything that belongs to the northerners, including the land, the house, and the property, and by the 1st of October, they expect every southeasterners in the northern part of Nigeria to have vacated. What are your thoughts?
I mean, when I first heard the issue, to me, I was half surprised, half not surprised. I think my original thinking was, you always hear about these Arewa groups, these ethno-religious, ethno-cultural groups, and I asked myself, what do they do apart from make noise or threaten people or splash their names on newspapers or support a candidate for so-and-so election? What foothold do they actually have in their community? What benefits do they actually bring to their people? And on this occasion, what makes them think that they could issue out threats to people who have lived in their land for 50 plus years and who have businesses and lives and family who are living there? And what has brought us to this point where a certain group are asking their fellow Nigerian, their fellow brother, to vacate a territory as if it's occupied land?
All right, fantastic. How did we get to this level? We're probably going to find answer in the course of this program. But in the meantime, let me quickly show you the clip where that statement or threats called by some people that says a threat were made by the Arewa Youth Consultative Forum. And when we come back from that clip where they issued the threat or the statement, we'll also go back to also listen to the reactions of some Nigerians from the Senate to Nigerians on that matter. But let's quickly listen to the statement by the Arewa Youth Consultative Forum. We'll be back.
A first step, since the Igbo have clearly abused the unreciprocated hospitality that gave them unrestricted access to and ownership of landed properties all over the north, our first major move shall be to reclaim, assume, and assert sole ownership and control of these landed resources currently owned, rented, or in any way enjoyed by the ingrate Igbos in any part of northern Nigeria. Consequently, officials of the signatory groups to this declaration are already mandated to commence immediate inventory of all properties, spaces, or activity in the north currently occupied by the Igbos for future at the expiration of the ultimatum contained in this declaration. In specific terms, the groups are directed to compile and forward an up-to-date data of all locations occupied by any Igbo in any part of northern Nigeria, including schools, markets, shops, workshops, residencies, and every other activity spaces. 2. Relocation notice. Secondly, with the effective date of this declaration, which is today, Tuesday, June the 6th, 2017, all Igbos currently residing in any part of northern Nigeria are hereby served notice to relocate within 3 months, and all northerners residing in the east are advised likewise. 3. Enforcement. All northern civil society and pressure groups are by this declaration mandated to mobilize for sustained coordinated campaigns at their respective state government houses, state houses of assembly, local government council secretariats, and traditional palaces to mount pressure for steps to be taken to ensure enforcement of the directives contained herein. Conclusion. In conclusion, we are hereby placing the northern authorities, the Nigerian authorities, and the entire nation on notice that as from the 1st October 2017, we shall commence the implementation of visible actions to prove to the whole world that we are no longer part of any federal union that should do with the Igbos.
All right, and sorry about that. And that was the statement by the Arewa Youth Consultative Forum on the quick notice given to people of the southeastern origin living in the northern part of Nigeria. 4 important points raised there. Um, um, they asserted that they, the northerners, want to reclaim, assume, and take ownership of everything currently being, or everywhere, everything or anything being currently enjoyed by Nigerians of the southeastern origin in the northern part of Nigeria. 2, they want to take inventory of all the properties and spaces currently occupied by these people. 3, and which is very important, 3 and 4, this is very important, mobilize sustained campaign, mind the use of the language, mobilize sustained campaign, and begin the process and steps to be taken in the enforcement, mind the use of the language, enforcement of the directives. And finally, number 4, implementation of visible action. Those are very important keywords used in that statement. Lagun, in your assessment, how do you view that statement or the threats made by the Arewa Youth Consultative Forum?
My dear Tunde, it upsets me greatly. It means that we have not come far at all as a nation. It means that we have not yet become one, that the state of the country, the state of the economy, the state of politics, and who we are as a collective union is currently under immense threat. If these people can go as far as to stand and make a press conference and tell your...
And the press conference was held at Arewa House, which is the official house, official quarters of the Arewa group. That is the official spokes organization for Northern Authority. That's where this was held.
I think if we look at the current state of the country itself, then you can see that all this divisive nonsense, I'll call it what it is, was not so prevalent under Obasanjo, was not so prevalent under Yaradua, was agitating a bit under Goodluck, but has now come to a massive head under Buhari. Now you must ask yourself, why has the the election of Buhari and Buhari being there, somehow managed to drive a wedge between, okay, I know civil war happened. I know that there are issues between the Igbos and the Yorubas, and we are a collective nation with many issues, and we cannot hide behind that. But we've somehow managed to live together in semi-harmonious circumstances for many years now. And one's neighbor is Igbo, the other one's neighbor is Shakiri, the other one's neighbor is Idoma, and we cohabit and coincide. Now we've reached a very difficult juncture where, frankly, we should hope and we should pray it does not reach a point where we revisit Civil War Part 2. Because if you look at, as you asserted, if you look at the language that was used, if you look at what was said and how it was said, they are asking a ethnic group to leave their land. Okay, and if they don't leave, then what? A sustained offensive. Is that not the drums of war, or what else could that be? Are they going to forcefully remove them? Do they act as their own government, meaning that the state government of Kano, Kaduna, and Sokoto have no say in this? And that's why you should ask yourself, is there a political undertone to all of this? Is there a hidden agenda behind it? Because for them to be so emboldened as to go on TV, as to tell a fellow ethnic group, your fellow brother, to vacate their land in 3 months, then they cannot be doing that without impunity. Had that person who was showing his face so boldly been arrested yet? Has he been questioned yet? Has anybody of the Arewa group been brought to book for clearly incendiary, clearly evil
offences? I mean,
of course, by far.
Asian threat to a compatriot.
At such a delicate time in our country's history.
Can I quickly say this, that the DSS, the country's secret police, the military, and the Nigerian police have actually declared some of those people wanted. But as we tell you, 2 weeks after they were declared wanted, nobody has been arrested yet. Number one. Number two, 2 weeks after they issued this statement, they issued another statement just last week, and this was directed and addressed to the Vice President, urging him to begin the process of a referendum that will facilitate the separation of the different regions in Nigeria. Letter addressed to the acting president, to put in force the process of a referendum to determine if Nigerians actually want to put state together. So, I mean, if one considers there was a press conference at Arewa House 2 weeks after, they wrote to the acting president asking him to put in place a process of a referendum that will facilitate whether Nigerians actually want to live together. Police forces have declared some of these people wanted, but nobody has been arrested. Yet this is growing stronger. Would one say this is just a mere statement, considering the history of the North in relationship to the treatment they have meted out in the past to people living within their territory, the Kano riots, the Kaduna issue, and a couple of other issues in the North where there have been uprising against non-indigenous in the state? Would we say this is a threat, or a real threat facing Nigerians, or just a statement, political statement?
I would say at this current juncture, I believe it is the most incendiary statement and actions that we've seen in a very long time. Obviously, after the elections in 2010, we had the riots where, you know, many non-ethnic Hausa and Hausa Fulani were killed for political reasons. Then we have the issue in Jos in the Middle Belt, which has been raging for a very long time. So,
which has not even been resolved. Killing going on in the North. Several riots.
It is fair to say that the North has been in a continual state of semi-anarchy for a very long time. Whether you want to call a spade, but in my knowledge of Nigeria and northern Nigeria and my interest on it, there's always been some kind of fracas in the north relating to House of Fulani, or whether it's herdsmen, cattlemen, or whether it's, you know, their attack on churches, and even the greatest one of our time so far, Boko Haram. At the end of the day, you know, so we're dealing with various issues in a vast terrain, okay? But even when we were challenging that one, it was always seen as, okay, us as Nigerians should come together to fight it. It has never got to the point where the Arewa group and people advocating power in the north have come together and said, you know, oh, Igbos must leave. So what about the other ones? Is it only Igbos who are causing you problems? It is a perceived negative view of the Igbo people that has caused this. Now, I'm sorry, I myself, my father
But
is...
shouldn't we blame the Igbos as well? Because part of the reasons they've given is the consistent request for the Biafran nation. That it is high time the government allowed the Igbos to go because they have been persistent about the Biafran nation. Would you actually blame the Arewa group for say, okay, fine, you want Biafran nation, leave our territory, go and form your own Biafran nation, rather than cause trouble?
I'm happy that we've come to that subject for the sheer reason that there is a direct correlation between the recent agitation for Biafra and the agitation for the Arewa for the Igbos to leave the north. The whole Biafra issue, as I said, under Obasanjo, under good luck, these things were not much of an issue. You always had Mossap, and then you had ones that would grow further. But with the rise of IPOB and Nnamdi Kanu, and this has been stimulated by the election of Muhammadu Buhari, and by what I perceive, what many perceive as the lopsided appointments of Northerners into government, and the active and the conceited and the apparent leaving out of Igbos from the corridors of powers. The Igbos are now, from my point of view, non-existent in the APC government and in the corridors of power in the highest of levels. Okay, if you look at the Senate President, a Yoruba House of Fulani man, if you look at
that's the Deputy Senate President.
Please let me know how much of influence he's had on the proceedings. And not only that, he's in the PDP opposition, which means that that was Saraki's doing of his own business deal at the end of the day. But in terms of actual influence, in terms of power, if you look at the security apparatus, it is north, 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 north. If you look at, even when they gave an Igbo man the Minister of Petroleum, they demoted him shortly after. It is a well-known fact that this current government are not disposed to Igbos being around them.
So some have actually blamed the president. Some said that the president willingly by himself in faraway America said we've got 80% to 25% or 75% to certain percent that those who gave certain higher level of vote to him should have more benefit to his government. And some have actually given the government a note that no, campaign is gone. Once you are now in power, you are in power for every Nigerian. But subsequently, like you rightly pointed out, appointment have actually seen what the president said at the time, that level of vote should, appointment or access to benefit should be determined by level of votes. Would one say this is what has caused this agitation?
The problem is I am very careful how I phrase things in terms of the ethnic dynamics, because we have to be careful, because as Nigerians and as the way we see our brothers and our different tribes and our neighbors, we have to be careful, because our country and our history is on a historical and continual tightrope where you have to be sensitive to the different dynamics, different people, in order to maintain the union and in order for us to move forward collectively, right? What Buhari has done, he has not been careful in the slightest. If anything, he has thrown caution to the wind, and he has said the Igbos will not take part in my government. Maybe he has old Civil War mentality. Maybe he has what they call the Core North mentality. But there is no foreseeable reason. Okay, they voted en masse for good luck. Fair enough. That I understand. But politics is not only a game of numbers, it's a game of democracy. It's a game of getting people on side. It's a game of building your constituency. It's not a game of excluding the third largest ethnic group in the country because they didn't vote for you. Especially knowing our past history. So you are going to aggravate them by excluding them and then hope for what? For everyone to be happy? Because you have actively excluded this group, inadvertently, it has led to the rise of IPOB. And agitation, are they correct to advocate for their own land? If you are in the country and you truly feel you are not benefiting for what is there, and you have your own land, and all you receive is a monthly allowance, but you have no say in how the country runs, I myself might think to myself, why am I there? What is the point of being in a relationship where the wife and husband...
Is this enough reasons? Are these enough reasons for this statement by the Arewa youth? Considering the inflammatory statement embedded in this statement.
To everything, okay, there's a cause and effect, right? Buhari and his appointments and the Igbos not being involved in the government has affected the rise of IPOB. Now, the cause and effect of the rise of IPOB is the Arewa group, who to themselves believe that they are the supporters and the bodyguards of Northern interest. Now they feel threatened because if the Igbos are making noise and we keep quiet, maybe they'll, try and take over government, or maybe something will happen. Like, various, their thinking, I believe, to make this statement is extremely myopic. Their thinking is not a rational one to release things like this. So a rational group does not think the way a normal man would think. Okay, maybe we should, speak to them and, try and make them feel wanted, or, create a dialogue. Have they even explored that route first before making these statements? So it is purely reactionary. But the question is, I think it was last week, Osibanjo brought together northern leaders and they all made a statement together that Nigeria shall remain one and that nothing will happen to the country. But for these people to be so bold as to make their statement, they must have people who are powerful in the north who are backing them.
Okay,
that's my only problem.
Okay, all right. Let's take another break now. Let's go to the National Assembly has been reacting to this. Of course, the political body, they have been paid by the public. The public is funding them, whatever their interest is. But what we do know is the National Assembly has been making statements on the floor of the National Assembly. Let's quickly go to Abuja now through one of our broadcasting partners, and we'll bring to you what the National Assembly has been saying.
Compromise. We must do everything possible to keep Nigeria one. And I think this is the task that is before these red chambers, and it's the task that is before all Nigerians. Some people never experienced the Nigerian Civil War, and so they cannot understand what they call. There are so many children that were born after the Civil War. But I was a witness. As a young man, I saw where families, even mothers, threw their children into pit toilets so that the people would not know, the soldiers would not know their location. Many countries like Sudan today are not able to put their acts together. No matter their wealth, they cannot access their wealth because of continuous infighting and continuous disruption of economic activities. We can make progress as a nation if only we remain united. We must caution our children from the north to the south and even to the west that the unity of Nigeria cannot be compromised, and that we as a Senate will stand strongly with leaders of this country who are interested in keeping this country together. I will not say more until maybe we get into the prayers, but I believe strongly that yes, indeed, we have taken the step in the right direction to throw a message that this Senate condemns all forces that are aimed at dividing Nigeria, and that on the unity of this country we stand. And we must go back to our constituents and advise them so. May God bless Nigeria and may God keep us united.
Mr. President, politicians from the southeast, southwest, and south-south must have the courage, the conviction, and the consistency to insist on one nation. Likewise, politicians from the north must have that courage, that conviction, and that consistency to insist that this is an indissoluble union. Mr. President, I must say this very clearly, that peace is the soul of a nation, and it is on it that any other thing and every other thing is founded. We must have, unreservedly, politicians from the southeast must unreservedly, unambiguously, and unequivocally condemn the separatist agitations that is coming up there. Politicians from the north must unreservedly, unequivocally, and unambiguously condemn the anarchists and ultra-nationalists that are trying to set this country ablaze. It is only by taking a definite position, not sitting on the fence and not playing the ostrich, covering our heads with sand, that issues like this could be addressed. As in the words of J.F. Kennedy, in terms of great national crisis, all men of generosity and goodwill, irrespective of party and politics, must come together to address the common problem that confronts us. Mr. President, I will on the last note say, we need what is necessary to further strengthen our unity. Agitations, complaints, and grievances are genuine national issues. We are here to look at them in every possible way and to address them. We must look at the possibility of reconstructing our country, of redesigning our country, and coming up with a new master plan that will address the very important challenges that we are facing in the 21st century. I thank you very much.
Very well, thank you. With a heavy heart that our nation is at a junction where it is obvious that both the leadership and the citizenry at large in our republic have forgotten nothing because they have learned nothing from our history. The record is there across the globe. There are few countries survive a second civil war. Most nations learn such a lasting lesson from one civil war that they conduct their affairs in such a way that shows that they have made up their mind that never again will they have a civil war. Unfortunately, the cacophony in the space of political discourse in Nigeria in the last few months have shown that we are under serious tension.
And I think that we all need to take a cue from what is happening in the FCT. The FCT is a place where all Nigerians come and call home, where everybody is residing, and it's the same place where we have had the highest level of marginalization, both in terms of appointments, both in terms of taking over our lands, which were for farming, but we have never issued any threat to anybody. We have accepted our fate and have said that Nigerians should come and live with us. I believe that Nigeria should be home to everybody, like the FCT is to everybody.
Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, the Senate notes with serious concern that the greatest challenge facing Nigeria today is the threat to national unity as centrifugal forces, calls for self-determination, ethnicity, and religious intolerance have enveloped national consciousness. The Senate notes also that since independence, national integration has been the priority of government in Nigeria, which saw the establishment of the National Youth Service Corps, NYC, the Unity School System, the Federal Character Principles, and many other affirmative policies intended to achieve national integration and peaceful coexistence, among others. The Senate observes that various integration policies and programs in Nigeria have yielded some desired outcomes, but there is more to be done as primordial ethnic sentiments and loyalties are still deep-rooted. The Senate is concerned that some citizens, rather than working for integration into a cohesive nation with a common sense of national identity and destiny, are preaching and supporting primordial affiliation for identity, loyalty, and security. The Senate is concerned also that recently they have been clamoring for ethnically based and regionally supported threat to one united Nigeria in various parts of the country. The Senate also observed that Nigeria's efforts at achieving national integration and unity have remained largely challenged, with the entire social matrix characterized by intercommunity and intra-community, inter-ethnic and inter-ethnic, inter-religious and intra-religious.
All right, welcome back. And those were the reactions of members of the Senate on this statement of threat issued by the Arewa Youth Consultative Forum on the 6th of June 2017, giving southeastern indigene in the northern part of Nigeria to vacate their land with immediate effect, giving them, 3 months notice to quit by on the 1st of October. And in the statement, they said they will reclaim and assume and take ownership of everything currently enjoyed and occupied by southeastern Nigerians in the northern part of the country. They said they will take inventory and then they will mobilize sustained campaign and steps to be taken in enforcement of the directive. They also stated that they will begin thereafter the implementation of visible action, that the whole world will see that they are no longer comfortable with that union with southeastern Nigerians. That is called, that has brought the entire region, southeastern and the northern part together. Okay, I'm now joined by Fatai Ogunebido, a public analyst. Fatai, thank you for joining us on the program today, and you're welcome. You have heard this threat or statement issued by the Arewa Consultative Forum, and if not, I've just given you a rundown of some of the main points in what they said in the 6th of June statement. What are your opinions when you read or heard about this?
Actually, I've really been expressing my opinion to people around me that right now we are actually on the threshold of danger in Nigeria. Because if these people are not checked, definitely Nigeria is heading towards another civil
Which
strife.
people? The Biafrans that have led to the cause of this, or the Northerners that are trying to exercise control over their territory?
This is not the first time the Biafrans are putting across their agitation. It has always been the norm right from the immediately after
should
the
that be
Civil
the
War.
norm? Why should
Well,
one section of Nigeria
the point is this,
be raising agitation for self-determination?
The Biafrans, the agitation actually is within the constitutional provision of Nigerian constitution. So you can't actually say people can't express their opinion. But it depends on the area where the agitation or the campaign for the agitation is coming from. Most of the time, the Biafrans put across their message. The tension being felt now is not as high as when the Arewa has not put across their own agitation. And the reason for this is quite obvious. We know that immediately after the Civil War, and since the Civil War ended, Nigeria has been under hijack by the old generals rooted from the northern part of Nigeria. And nobody wants to agitate for, a different, for a country, because our pride, our greatness, our, Nigeria, the name Nigeria glitters across the world. People know, both in human resources, in natural resources, people know our potentials. It's a pity we don't appreciate ourselves and try to give that country, what we should give it to bring that greatness that God has imbued in that nation. Well, but even then, the problem has come now. We just have to find a way out of it. How do you find a way out of it? We know, what Arewa means in Nigeria. These are people who have actually been the custodian of the destiny of Nigeria right from the end of the Civil War. Whether we like it or not, we have some elders who understand these narratives. They are so afraid to express it because of the fear of being molested. We have those people, maybe from the under 45s up to date, who are actually short of history. They don't really understand how Nigeria has actually feared right from the end of the Civil War. Nigeria is not a country. It is, an expression being exploited by a region of the country. And that the warning I want to give to my brothers from the eastern side of Nigeria, the Biafrans, is they have to take it easy. Let me explain something to you which many of us in the southwest do not understand today. The same situation that the southeast is the same situation that the southwest is. The deprivation of the thorough leadership from that region is as well the same situation as that of the southwest of Nigeria. There has never been a core southwest that has ruled Nigeria since independence.
Obasanjo ruled
Obasanjo ruled Nigeria, and I will tell
years.
you,
And that was twice. He was a military leader.
Let me go back.
And he came back as a civilian leader for 8 years.
Tunde,
and then he handed over to another father.
Thank you very much.
Thank
you very much, Tunde. It's good
Dr. Goodluck Jonathan.
I'm happy you understand this. Go back to the history of Obasanjo during the Civil War. Go back to the colleagues those colleagues who fought the war with him. We are talking of the Absalam, Buhari, Babangida, Danjuma. Now, when you now ask your question, ask yourself a big question today. Why did the party that put Obasanjo to be the leader in 1999, why should they go back to the prison to bring Obasanjo out? Out of all, let me say, as at that time, more than 40 million Yorubas in Nigeria. Going back to prison to bring Obasanjo out, it has got something in it. Let me tell you, Papa Obasanjo, we have to commend his efforts. He has always been the pillar on which the Yorubas have stood for a very long time. And I will explain this to you more. If not for Obasanjo's factor, even though it's being used to checkmate the Southwest, being given the power to be the controller of Southwest. And that's the reason why the North will never trust any Southwesterner to rule Nigeria. They have more trust in Obasanjo because he's part of the group. And that's the reason why you can never see the ruling of Nigeria outside the cabal. Obasanjo used his statesmanship to make sure that things are put into balance. During his reign in 2007, Obasanjo tried as much as possible using his influence, which he has, because they know if they don't give Obasanjo the wherewithal to be able to handle things the way he wanted to handle it, he could have actually sold out the cabal, because if they don't listen to him, they know what the Yorubas can do. So they have to listen to him, and Obasanjo used that 8 years to bring a better structure. So we cannot say that he is part of the cabal, but he's the one that is being given the destiny of the Southwest, because he is part of them, and they see him as the anointed one with whom they are well pleased. So whether we like it or not, there has never been a time when a Southwesterner has ruled Nigeria from the core Yoruba groups. That is the truth about Nigeria, about the Southwest of Nigeria as of today. So Obasanjo ruled from the Southwest only as a ruler who will checkmate, who will try to make sure that it pushes the Yorubas out of any friction with the North. So it is not surprising. Nigeria, it has been a modeling. It has been there's a conspiracy against Nigeria. Nigeria is not real.
Okay, all right. Let's Lagun. Let me come to you, Lagun. As it is, Lagun, if you do have family members from the southeastern part of Nigeria living in the north, would you be advising them to take this statement threat seriously, or to say, don't worry, it's just a political statement? What would you be advising them? What would you be telling them?
It is a very good question. I think at this current time, I would be advising them, if I had family in the areas that should be affected, I would say for them to stay put for now, but get your things in order, as in finances, as in property deeds, as in, like, you know, make sure that when the pogrom took place before the Civil War, many of them were caught unawares. Many people were running for their lives and left everything behind. Now they've given you a heads up if they are to do such things again. Therefore, it is up to you to,
so you
like,
think
you know,
it's advisable for the southeastern part of Nigeria to still stay put, considering the history of the North, the Kano riot twice, the Jos Plateau crisis,
I
when
think
things can just get out of hand at any time?
I think that the statement made by the northern governors last week when they sat in one row and pleaded with people not to be so hastily, if they had kept quiet and you know that, okay, maybe these governors have come out, and Osibanjo has come out, and the emir was in the State House, Ibolis were in the State House. It has been dialogued at very different levels at this time.
Okay, all right. Let's take the reactions of Nigerians. We've seen the statement. We've seen politicians talk. Let us hear Nigerians, ordinary Nigerians on the street of Nigeria. Let us hear them talk in this clip.
So ihe na-agwa ndị Igbo niile n'ebe ahụ asị ha laba ha laa n'onwe ihe na-emeni. We are Biafra and we cannot deny it. Anyị agaghị deny na anyị wụ ndị Biafra. Anyị ga-eso ihe na-eme na Lagos ma na ihe na-eme na North wee chefuo ebe anyị si. Ha kwado ha laa. Even na nke nwa na-ekwu dị na-agba m anya mmiri bụ na ọnụnọ nnọkwu na Lagos ọ gwụla m ike onwezi ihe anyị ma anyị na-eme. Both ma ndị nwa nọ North ma ndị nọ Lagos. Ihe anyị na-akpazi bụ kpatanye ọnụ iri juju afọ bụzi wahala ma ndị obodo a ịkpata 1 naira ha pụọ nagara anyị ya iwe jizi anyị agụrụ na-egbu anyị ha biko ọ dịkwa nke ndị obodo a chọkwara ime ha mebekwa ya emebe ha bidokwa n'oge mebi ya emebe ka anyị mara.
What they are saying, that means they want this division to be actualized, because telling Igbos to leave northern land means Igbo is no more part of Nigeria. And if you look at the agitation of Biafra, well, it's for me, if they insisted that we should leave, then we should know that we are not Nigeria. Actually, we've been praying for us to go back to our place. But if they will force us, we want it in a peaceful way. But if they want it in this way, that means they are making room for it. And I would say it's a prayer answered.
So, say me I did Lagos now. And the other people where they say, Biafra. Me are not supposed to say, I was people telling Ibo make you live not to Kwanya country side. Make you all of the day. Like you did before. Say now you go. Make me are here to go here, to here to go there. Now you go. Nobody say, and this one, go there. Me I no want that one. Me I not supposed to that one. I want make all of the day together. All this one why they talk. Me I not supposed to my people say make they tell them double show for not. No, make you leave all of them make it day.
Me trying to do is like they are trying to cause a war, and which is not a good one. In Lagos, if anybody tells you you have to leave, you have to give instance, you have to run for your dear life first and see what is going to happen. So that is my own point of view. You don't have to remain in the place and you want to see until even they cut up your head before you start running. People, they also stay in Igbo land. You don't have to tell them to go. There is a due process. Even if you want them to leave your state or something, there is a due process. I have in the news that the governor was telling them to stay, that he gave them assurance about security or things like that. But for me, in my own point of view, I have to go defense first, because it's not 100%. If you even look at in this environment right now, if all those area boys can come up and trying to throw things around, you have to run.
You're welcome back, and those were the opinions of ordinary. Let me quickly give you the interpretation of what the woman you heard was saying. The woman was saying they are Biafrans. If the Northerners want them to leave, they should leave. If they don't want them in the North, why would any Southeastern Nigerians remain in the North? With that statement, she was of the opinion that, well, leave the North now because you cannot determine what will happen next. So she was actually very confident that there's no point for any Igbo or Southeastern Nigerians to still remain in the northern part of Nigeria as of today. And we had the other guy also saying, look, if the northerners are saying they should leave, though they want Biafra, but they want it in a peaceful way, but otherwise they still want to leave. Guys, let me come to you. Okay, let me come to Fatah. He said people should still stay put. Do you agree with that?
Not at all.
Why?
Before the last election, in 2015, we have this group actually here, which actually tried to, we are so nervous that there might be civil war in Nigeria because of the election. and we were trying to find a way to see how we can sample the opinion of big powers. So, as a group, NGO group, we put across our, plans to consult many of the embassies, appeal to them that please, we don't want war in Nigeria. So when our reps went to the embassies, it emerged from one of the embassies that there might be certain decisions that might be happening within Nigeria in 2017. So what's happening now, the way I take it is more important because of what we have as information, that is our group, from one of the embassies. What we have as information, it is what is actually cushioning my perception and my diagnosis and my, analysis of the entire scenario now.
So you think it is unsafe for the
Let me tell you,
Nigerians?
the north is unsafe for the Biafrans. If they are there, let them go back to their country.
All right, quickly, because of our time. Lagu, almost all the entire security apparatuses of Nigeria are in the hands of the northerners. The chief of army staff, the chief of defense staff. In fact, Nigeria Army's command center is in the northeast, as we say. So there's so much military power concentrated in northern Nigeria.
So it's a pre-planned thing.
Do you think Nigerians, any other regions of Nigeria can afford a head-on collision with the northern part as this is emerging? Do you think so?
I think that if the Igbos are to pack up and leave, then we are on our way to a state breakup. That is the only reason why I would advocate for a collective conclusion to this via dialogue, via speaking to governors, via interacting with the security apparatus, which may be in the hands of the North but still belong to the Nigerian nation. If these Igbos who have lived all their lives in the North, who have built up their livelihood, are made to go back to the East, they'll find nothing there. And it will spur on the whole Biafra issue, and they will make their own country. The Southeast, as it is economically buoyant, but it has been left out of the largesse of the political and the governmental economic aspect. Can the place handle 200,000 people en masse coming back home? To do what? Even more than that, maybe even a few million. At the end of the day, wouldn't it be safer and smarter to find a way how to soothe the Arewa groups, how to soothe the Biafra groups, and move forward as a nation?
How long shall we continue to soothe each region?
As long as we want to remain as one.
Okay, all right, guys. I'm sorry we can't go on because of our time.
Before we go,
quickly in 1 minute, make your comment.
El-Rufai made a statement on television this afternoon. He said those who are behind this, they call them youths, but they are men who are actually older than him. It goes to show that this request is not within the youth alone. And the most precise thing we have to understand here is they mean that business.
Okay, all right.
And we cannot afford, whether they leave, which might create a sort of breakup of Nigeria is put across, or whether they stay, which might actually engender a carnage of mass killing. We are going to be lose on both sides. We cannot afford both sides. Exactly.
But we give the acting president kudos for his efforts in ensuring balanced unity through his dialogue across different parts of Nigeria. This is how we can go on the program today. Thanks a lot. Lagu Akiloye, thanks for joining us on the program today. Fatah Ogunlebido, thanks for joining us. My name is
thank you today.
Enjoy the rest of your evening. Bye. Of what makes man